Welcome to the Love Deep Lab podcast, helping you integrate sex, sexiness, sacredness, and science in your life and your bedroom. And now, your host, Dr. Stormy.
Hi, I'm your host, Dr. Stormy. Welcome to the season 1 closer of the Love Deep Lab podcast. So, episode 40 today. I mentioned last week, but I am truly and profoundly, deeply honored to have shared these 40 weeks with you all. Thank you for everyone who listened, who watched, who subscribed, who shared it, who asked questions. I'm really, really grateful. It has been this really beautiful love project of wanting to share with you quality and content, not dealing with censorship issues like you do on some of the other social media platforms. And when it was proposed to really do this podcast, I thought, I don't have time for this. And I'm so glad I did not listen to that little voice and instead listen to the much bigger voice and to my amazing team who really encouraged me to do this, including, most importantly, my marketing strategist, who just thought that this is a great way, not from a marketing, but from a heartfelt perspective, to get this information out there to all of you that are this beautiful, amazing, sexy, big-hearted Love Deep Lab collective. So I'm just so truly touched. I can't wait for season 2, which will start in the new year. And I'm just excited to share with you some more amazing guests and some more amazing topics. But today we decided to do a little get personal. And I love it. Let me talk the talk. I talk about vulnerability and transparency. Nothing feels too personal. I have my privacy is one thing, and my privacy in myself and my family and in my relationship. But as far as topics that are still respecting that privacy, nothing feels too personal. I love sharing openly and vulnerably with our community. So I asked questions, and these were the questions that were written in and sent in. So in no particular order, we're just going to go through a little, I guess, get to know me and get to know what we do more as we close out season 1 of our podcast. So someone wrote in and said that they have a long distance partner and she's amazing. His words, she's an angel. And he's wondering how to make her feel special even when they are not in the same place. Beautiful question. So long distance relationships can be challenging, right? Because we have all of the challenges and the dynamic nature of relationships anyway. And then you add in distance, right? Not being in the same geographic place. And I'm not sure how far apart you are, but it doesn't really matter. And, there's people that say distance makes the heart grow fonder. There's people that say distance makes the heart grow moldy. And I don't think either. I think it really depends on the people in the partnership. I would say great communication. Frequent communication, also orienting towards each other, even though you might be far apart. Sending little texts or emails or little gifts, letting them know that you're thinking about them goes a very long way. Really clear agreements when you're not together. What are your agreements in your partnership? And those vary from partnership to partnership. Those would be some of the ways. And how to make her feel special, your particular question. Well, how does she feel special? What's her love language? What's her erotic blueprint? We did the last 2 weeks of podcasts were on both of those, so you can check back on those. But finding out how she experiences, feels, loved, seen, and adored, and then doing more of that. So that is a great question. Thanks for asking that. Are my beautiful blue eyes real? Thank you. And yes, they are. Thank you for that question. I love my eyes, so I appreciate that question. And they're getting older because I now need readers, which has been a little bit of a humbling process. But yes, the blue is real. What is a healthy amount of sex to be having when you are in partnership? That's a great question. So my libido, my sex drive, my desire to have sexual intimacy, physical intimacy, it varies from person to person. It varies from different states in my life, in each person's life. Hormones affect it, sleep affects it, stress affects it, diet affects it, weight affects it. And then those are the non-relational things that also affect it. Relationally, is there resentments? How close or not close do I feel with my partner? Are we putting more investment into the get closer, or are we doing things that are moving us farther apart? So all of those things play into my desire and how much I may or may not be desiring to have sex with my partner. The same would be for you with your partner. So there isn't an amount. I mean, the average in monogamous couples is 1.3 times per week, based on the latest research. So, but I don't do normal. So I don't like to think of it as normal. But my question for you, back to you, would be, how does it feel for you? Do you feel like you're having enough sex with your partner and the kind of sex you want to be having with your partner? And if not, can you approach your partner and let them know and share with them that you're wanting more sex or a different kind of sex or wanting to broaden the sexual experience? And the answer is yes, you can. There are amazing strategies to be able to talk with your partner about your sex drive and where you are. And it is complicated because they might not be in the same spot, but there's so many amazing ways to bridge that gap too. How do I recommend addressing role play, adding role play into our sex life? So I love that question. Super playful even to ask it. And I love role play. I think there's a hesitancy on role play because it gets like this bum rap that has to be this like grand, elaborate, costumed, scripted scene. And that often keeps people from trying role play and moving into role play. So if you let that keep you, because you don't have this grand elaborate thing from role play, then you'll never get to experience role play. So start small is my advice for starting. First of all, honor yourselves for wanting to bring in some creativity and some spice and some novelty, because that's amazing. And start small. What is a scene that you and your partner are comfortable with that you can just put a toe in or some other body part in to role play? And to bringing in the idea of role play is fantasy, right? And also getting to try on and experience different parts of yourself and your sexuality that you might not feel comfortable doing without the role, without the scene. So you can start small. Like a common one is like pretend to be strangers or pretend to be out on a first date, even anything like that. So start small and then you can expand from there. And then starting to develop with your partner, what are the roles and the scenes that you both find sexy and exciting and intriguing? Great question. What's the worst date that I've been on? I've been on many hilariously and some not hilariously awful dates. I was single for a long time, on and off. I was celibate, then I had lovers, and then I was serial dating, and I did online dating. I did more traditional dating, and I've had some hilariously, like Saturday Night Live, hilariously challenging, awful dates. None of them were like scary or anything like that. Thank goodness. I've been blessed on that one. But I would say there was the first date I went on after my divorce. I waited like 6 months. I just wanted to heal. And then I went on a date and it was about 30 minutes into dinner, which, first of all, I learned the hard way. Don't go to dinner on a first date, like go out for a drink or a cup of coffee because it's a lot shorter. And he asked me about my political views. And then he said, "Oh, so you're a communist." And I literally like spit out my wine and I said, "Oh, a communist." And let's just say, no talking about politics on a first date. Or if you do, don't be a jerk about it like he was. So obviously there was no second date on that one. What is my biggest goal for 2022? I love this question. I don't like New Year's resolutions. I like intentions, New Year's intentions, and sort of a vision board. So for me, a lot of it is with Love Deep. We have small groups coming and personal development series. I always love the one-on-one coaching. That is a huge part of my heart, and I always want to give that time and energy. But we also have all these other amazing programs going, and Love Deep is my passion. Besides being a mom, it's what I feel is my purpose on this earth. So I'm really excited about all we have to bring to you all in 2022. Thanks for asking that question. I would love to hear what your biggest goals are too. Do I believe in manifestation? Yeah, I believe that what we think and what changes our energy, our high vibes, our low vibes, everything is frequency. I also believe really powerfully in visualization. It's really sound in the science, power of our brain to visualize and then create something. If we can't visualize it, we can't tap into it. It is harder to create it in reality in real life. And there's amazing people out there doing incredible work in visualization as well as manifestation. And I would also say, like on the flip side of that, I also think it can be a bypass. We can be so into manifestation that we use it as a spiritual bypass. We don't really allow ourselves to feel all the feelings. And the way that I work with myself and with my clients is really the only way out is through and really deeply feeling all your feelings. And to me, those are not orthogonal practices. It's not an either or. You can be deeply feeling your feelings and also be powerful in what you're manifesting and visualizing. what is my favorite workout? I love all workouts. Well, that's not true. I love many workouts. I love to move my body. I love Peloton. I love hiking. I love skiing. I love mountain biking. I love going for walks. I like Pilates. I like working out with my personal trainer. So movement for me is very sacred. What's my favorite type of meditation? I've tried many types of meditation. So I love to combine a quiet meditation with an active meditation. So the active meditation might be breath work or kriyas or mantras. The quiet meditation is quiet. And I really find that for me, that kind of yin yang, both active and quiet, is a really beautiful practice for me. But I've tried many, and I would just say try them, see how they are for you. They're also beautiful and very different. So figuring out what works for you, it would be if you're wondering about meditation. Why do people cheat? That is a tender one. I have shared a little bit in these podcasts, but cheating, I have been unfortunately on the receiving end of cheating more times than I would like. Actually, almost all of my significant relationships, not the one that I'm currently in, but most of the other ones where I was cheated on. And so, and I work with some of my couples that are also recovering from infidelity and things like that. And, there isn't a why, one why, but I would say one of the things is looking at if a couple is wanting to come back together or stay together after infidelity, it's really important that they look at their agreements and what happened to the agreements, where were they broken, and the why of why they were broken, what isn't being fed or met or attended to in the relationship. And that is not to say that the person that like, oh, see, look, you never did this, and so I went out and found it elsewhere, because there is still integrity and having to like maintain and honor our agreements. But I think if people practice conscious monogamy, there'd be a lot less cheating. And I have a podcast on that. I love the practice of conscious monogamy. And it's really about like honoring where you are in your partnership and honoring that attraction and temptation is always there. But that if you are feeling that, you would bring that to your partner first. You wouldn't break the agreements without having a conversation about it. So it's really deep, conscious relating based on powerful, open, honest, and sometimes very challenging communications. And then I think also part of why the why is substance use, right? People are drinking or drugging and they're not in their right minds. People will say, you need to trust me. And the person, if they're using substances, there is no you to trust, because you're not in your normal state of mind. I think another reason is like the next bright, shiny thing. This works for men and women. Rather than Tantra really helps us to like continue to love and find our partner attractive and be continually turned on by our partner in a way of like kind of beginner's mind. And it's not just Tantra, but that's a powerful practice for it. And so our culture promotes like, let's move on to the next new shiny bright thing, maybe younger thing, really promotes that. And so it's understandable that translates also over into relationships. It's a really good question though. But I feel tenderly around that subject, and really thank you for asking that question. Threesomes, that's a little bit of a shift, but what do I think about threesomes? I don't think anything good or bad about threesomes. I think there's parts of them that are hot. I think there's parts of them that can be challenging. For me personally, the fantasy was and is much hotter than the reality of it. For me, in the reality of it, I was felt very wanted to caretake, make sure everybody felt good and everybody was getting equal attention. And that's my stuff, but it's also my heart. So for me, the fantasy of it is really hot, but the reality is less hot. If you are practicing threesomes and open to threesomes in your relationship, or if you're out single and doing that, really good communication, understanding that there is new relationship energy. So the new person is going to have this kind of energy around them that is there and going to be there. And so how are you going to manage that? And then aftercare. So really good agreements, really good boundaries, communication, and then aftercare would be kind of just a few tips about threesomes. And it's, it's one of the most common fantasies for sure for men and women. Let's see, what's the next question? Do I believe people can be happy and monogamous for 60 years or more? And what helps to make that happen? Beautiful question. Yes, I do believe that. Yes, I have seen it. I believe conscious monogamy is a really powerful paradigm. There's so many relationship paradigms, and conscious monogamy is one. And it's a really powerful one. So what can help that to happen is really good communication, agreements, and being in integrity, being really open and honest with your partner, recommitting to each other. Are we good? Do we need to change anything? Do our agreements need to shift? And practice intentionality, like being intentional and making your relationship great, making your relationship passionate, making your relationship sexy. I want to be having fabulous sex when I'm like 80, so that's important to me. I will always prioritize that. So prioritizing our relationship, prioritizing our sex and our relationship are really beautiful ways to and then I think also being really good friends, being committed to being friends. And you don't just bail on a friend. So I'm not saying to stay in a relationship necessarily, but at least to give it some time to explore it together. And maybe you choose to part ways consciously, but not in darkness and shadow and lying and cheating, all of that. So, these are good. My favorite business book, probably Coactive Coaching or The Four Agreements. I really like those. And my favorite spiritual book, I love The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I love The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. And I love anything by David Deida. Way of the Superior Man, which is written for men. I recommend that for every man. Love that book. But that's a great one. Let's see. The craziest place that I've ever had sex. Well, on the top of a mountain on an energy vortex. And it was wild, like mind-boggling, literally hair standing up because the vortex is a real deal. So that is definitely a very unique, wild, craziest place I've had in fabulous sex. And then the question was about the best sex. So for me, best sex has been very different in my life. When I found Tantra, genital only focused sex, orgasm focused sex no longer was exciting to me, or no longer it wasn't just that was exciting. I had so much more breadth and depth to my sexual experiences. So as I've gotten older and as I've continued in my own journey and tapping deeply into my own sexuality and my own sacred sexuality, my own Tantra practice, sex has gotten better and better. And yeah, I mean, obviously that depends on my partner, and my current partner. He and I have a really beautiful connection in that way, but it's also that it's my practice, that I'm committed to that. So that's not me dodging the answer. It's literally that the sex I thought was great when I was 20 is no longer the sex that I'm desiring to have at 40, in my mid 40s. So, yeah, that's a great question though. So thanks everyone for these amazing questions. Thank you for joining us for 40 episodes of the Love Deep Lab podcast. Let's see your sexy homework over the next few weeks. Gosh, just enjoy the end of the year and the start of a new year. And I think your sexy homework would be come up with one thing, one New Year's intention for you in the realm of your relationship or in the realm of your sexuality. And if you're single, one thing that you're going to work on in yourself and your own relationship with your own pleasure. So that's my sexy homework for you all. I really wish you a happy holiday and a lovely new year, and I can't wait to see you all in 2022. Thank you for being brave and opening your hearts to love deep.